Welcome to the video introduction of the Tales of Taylor series, as well as Adventures and Adversities. For those of you who might have perused my blog some, or happen to know my family, the person on the front of this cover might look very familiar. That is Rose, my sister, who also happens to be the basis of the main character, Aldathan. And, but I do have a very interesting question for you guys. What do you think this book and this book have in common, other than me, and other than characters based off my sister Rose? Here's the answer. Maria really liked starring in my original trilogy. She really liked it. She tried to star in this book as well. About half of the book had to be rewritten, and some of it and severely edited because Maria's character tried to take over Aldous' character, and Aldous is very different than Maria. As I believe I wrote in my author's notes, that the fall from the stars to Earth is very hard. 1 month after I finished the draft for The Destiny of a Galaxy, I started on this because I'd been very inspired. As if you watch the introduction to my writing, you'll know that I actually started writing my entire writing career by writing a book that was set in a fictional country. It's actually based off of Robin Hood. And medieval / historical fiction is really where I really like to write. So to me, even though the world saw from the outside it looked like I went from sci-fi to historical fiction, I'd really gone back to my first love. It was really a weird day jaunt into sci-fi. But this book came about because I was reinventing the series that I originally written. For those curious, it was the Shyham series that has been repurposed into the Taylor series. Adventures and Adversities was the first one. It was originally not going to be the first one, but I got this idea. I wanted to do a story about a peasant that did some courageous things. Most medieval stories are about knights or princesses, and while I loved those stories as much as the next person, I wanted to do something about real life. This is a fairly thick book compared to most of the ones I write. At this point, when I wrote this, it's the longest. A Different Kind of Courage has ousted it from that honor. But I was really dealing with a bunch of depression when I wrote this book, and a lot of the questions Aldous asked are ones I was asking. And very interestingly, a bunch of the answers were things I found. And I think one of the mistakes that we make sometimes is we try to give easy answers, especially to our young people. Tales of Taylor is a series whose purpose is close to my heart. It's to provide, especially kids between the ages of 10 and 15 is where the target age range for it, something to read that's written on an adult level, reading level wise, but with concepts and stories that are age appropriate, but that also tackle real issues. I think one of the mistakes that the Christian community has done is that they've given kids books that deal with either very mature content, let's expose them to all the horrible things in the world, and for kids, especially homeschool kids that aren't exposed to it at a very early age, it's just kind of weird and not very edifying. But on the other hand, you have ones that are written for kids that are very inane. Their messages are like, don't hit your brother, don't steal a cookie, and especially for kids who've grown up in church, they've got those basic ideas. I wanted to delve into some really deep heart issues where is God when it hurts, and when things are going wrong in your life, and even when you're trying to do the right thing. And that's where Adventures in Adversity. Aldatha is a character who is working very hard to do the right thing. She sacrifices herself at the very beginning of the book, what she wants, so that her friend can have a better life. And she finds herself standing all alone. But one of the great hurts in her life is that she lost a sister who was very dear to her. And that causes her just, everybody around her is telling her, don't be sad, don't question God. And I think some families can do that. We don't want, not in a bad way, but sometimes without meaning to, we tell kids, don't question God. You never ask questions about it. You just accept what God has said. And we do need to trust God. And we do need to accept what He's saying, but we do have an answer. Also, that God sees our tears. He knows our pain. And He created tears as well as laughter. And I hope that, my hope behind this story is to give something that the young readers in the family can enjoy, something that that's written at a level that's not, doesn't feel like it was written for little kids, but with content that is age appropriate for them, but also hopefully stirs their heart and points them to the God who sees their tears, who knows their pain, and does care, and is there for them even in the midst of the hardest situations.